We love TDD. We're going to follow a strict TDD approach as we build the user API. To do that, we're going to install a couple of gems to help us write tests. We're going to use RSpec to test our user API. To install RSpec Rails, we need to include it in the gem file by going to stop the server for now. Config gem file. It should be placed under development and tests. It is always good to open the particular gem documentation for you to read the nitty-gritties and get the details of what you need to do and not to do. So add this to both development and test gem RSpec Rails. You will never be wrong with the documentation. Development and tests. TDD stands for test-driven development. RSpec Rails. And apart from RSpec Rails, we're going to install FactoryBot, which will allow us to quickly write fixtures. So that should be development and test as well. FactoryBot Rails. Another gem we're going to install is the Faker library. It's a library for generating fake data such as names, addresses, blah blah blah. This is placed where? I'm going to place it to both development and test as well. We're also going to install database cleaner, which comes with strategies to clean test databases in Ruby, so that we always have a clean database to run our tests against. This is the master branch. It's always confusing with this gem. We don't need to install database clean active record. This has not been released yet. They should update the docs. Anyhow, this is what we go through as developers. Where was it? The master branch contains what the version of the gem that we do that has not been released yet. Anyways, let's just type gem database cleaner here. And okay, let's install those for now. We'll add others. So git status again, bundle install. Awesome. Next we will need to run Rails bundle exec Rails generate RSpec install. It will create the .RSpec file, the spec folder, the spec helper, and Rails helper files. Let's have a look at the .RSpec file. We need to change this to have some defaults, and instead of requiring spec helper, let's require Rails helper instead. So that we do not have to type require Rails helper in every spec file we generate. Let's add some color to the output of RSpec. Whenever we run RSpec, format documentation, give it a good format. What's happening? Documentation. Alas. Profile. Whenever some tests are too slow, it should let us know. Alright. Next, we are going. Okay, let's see what we don't have to. I wanted us to open the Rails helper file, but we don't really have to. It is worth mentioning that RSpec has very good documentation on this link here. So whenever you want to learn anything or confirm anything about RSpec, just come to type this link and you can search it here. Whatever expect change. Documentation is very important. Just an example. Change matcher. Then you have all the details you need here. Be sure to save that. Now that we have RSpec installed, let's move forward and set up FactoryBot in our project. To do that, we're going to create the factories folder, and I'm going to use a nifty script I created called makefile, because otherwise, let's say this spec folder did not exist. For you to create any folder within a folder that does not exist, you first need to create that folder. So I'd have to first to make directory spec and make directory spec slash folder slash factories and no sorry for this, make directory spec factories and touch spec factories, maybe users.rb. This is a lot of typing, so I made a script that is available on my .files that will allow me to type less. It's here, .files. Inside bin make file. Where is it? Was it really here? I found it. It's under zish functions make file, and it's here. It will make the directories if they don't exist. It will take the arguments I pass and also create the new files. Cool. So I'll be using this command to create the files. So here I'll do make file spec setup support rather slash setup slash FactoryBot .rb. Looking good. and then I'll open that file, FactoryBot.rb. The FactoryBot documentation says that you may want to configure your test suite to include FactoryBot methods. See this configuration here. So what we need to include in that file we've just created is this lines here. Okay, yeah, it's all here. So let's type that in. We need to require FactoryBot Rails. Save that file. Next, we're going to configure the database cleaner. So we're going to create a file inside setup again, make file, this time it's database cleaner.rb, then open it. Database cleaner. And the configuration for database cleaner is it's here. We're just going to use a simple configuration for RSpec right here. So let's type that in. Require database cleaner. Configured it before, so it's do no, don't want that. Database cleaner dot strategy equals transaction rather. Database cleaner dot clean with truncation configured around do example database cleaner dot cleaning do example dot run. That should be enough to get us running with database cleaner. Right, Next, we are going to install Robocop. Robocop is an extension focused on enforcing style guides, Ruby and Rails best practices and coding conventions according to the Ruby style guide. We're going to install 4 gems for this: Robocop Rails, which is the Robocop extension of Robocop itself, then Robocop RSpec, code style checking for RSpec files, then Robocop Performance for checking for code performance if any test is slow or our implementation is slow. So we install that beneath this line, the gem file. Is it on development and test as well? Let me confirm. Yes, development and test as well. Coding style. I'm just going to copy the 3 gems, then paste them here. Next, we need to run bundle install. Next is to create the Robocop config file, the robocop.yaml file. Robocop.yaml. And we need to require the extensions we've just added. Require Robocop Rails, Robocop RSpec, Robocop Performance. Just to move in quickly, I'm going to paste in a few style checks we need to enforce throughout our project. Right, so this one specifies that the line length maximum is 100. It's normally 80. Exclude the check for block length for code inside this folders config and spec, and then avoid documentation style issues, because we do not really have to document our code for this project. Next, we have to, let's see what Robocop brings. We just type Robocop. We should have a couple of offenses that we need to fix. Ooh, 96. A lot of them are violating style/string literals, frozen string literal comment. Those are most of them. So for the few that we can fix, let's run Robocop to fix a few safely without breaking anything. Robocop dash save autocorrect. Should be auto dash correct. This will fix a few of the offenses without breaking anything. 60 offenses corrected. That's better. So we will work with that, and then as we find the files, we are going to fix them one by one when we open the files. Okay. So I think we're good to go with the testing part. So we just need to commit all the changes. And before I do that, I'm going to check. Should be issue number 3 that we're going to close. Git status. We're going to add all again. Issue number 3. Add.RSpec.robocop, everything inside spec. Gem file. All right. Set up API for testing and style. What do I call it? Style guides, conventions, encoding style, fixes or rather clauses. Can use fixes or clauses. Clauses number 3. Push. They should be looking good. Alright, so next we are going to create the user model. No, rather we're going to set up debuggers.